Now, African modern and contemporary art has finally exploded into the mainstream. Art experts say one of the most remarkable transformations is the growing number of Africans who are appreciating and buying art from their own artists. It's estimated that African buyers now account for 60 to 70% of the sales of African art. Well, one organization keen to maintain and build upon this success is the Nigeria Art Society UK. And I'm joined now by the president and vice president of that society, Hassan, Aliyu and Chike Azuonye. Thank you very much indeed to both of you for coming in. I'll start with you, Hassan, because you're sitting closer to me. And of course, you're the president.
That's correct.
Right. Tell us more about the Nigerian Art Society. How did it come about, briefly?
Well, the Nigerian Art Society came about in around about 1992. And at this point in time, Nigerian artists were marginalized from the mainstream art scene in the UK. We came to practice our art here, yet it seemed like all establishments in the mainstream were closed to us. So we had to, create our own collectives and sort of develop our own realities.
And what has that achieved?
Well,
Chike.
well, we have achieved quite a lot since we established the collective. We've had two very big exhibitions, so one in 2013 and one last year, and we have exhibition this November this year. We also have other high-profile exhibitions planned for 2018.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So do you actually hold your own exhibitions, or do you support and work with, for instance, we had Bonhams here just a couple of days ago, and they're having this huge Africa art exhibition. Do you support things like that?
Well, whereas with the Bonhams, they are not themselves artists, we are artists,
right.
And we feel that we are the ones who can drive the initiative and sustain it over time, even when it's no longer commercially viable, and when the big sort of commercial entities who are there to take, sort of make the proceeds from it, go away to pursue other more gainful ventures.
There seems to be,
artists.
Absolutely, there seems to be this very big rise in interest in contemporary African art. What do you think's behind it?
Well, first of all, I think that if you compare art in the last decade or so and what is happening, I think it's also the rise in income as well, made it possible for people to now acquire art, especially here and in Nigeria as well. People are buying, some of our people are now buying our works.
Well, I was just going to say, are you actually surprised that so many Africans are buying African art? I mean, I'm buying very expensive art. I mean, Bonhams was talking about $4.5 million.
That's right, yes.
I'm not really surprised at all, because one of the benefits in the last decade has been globalization and emerging market economies, recovering from the downwards trends that, started in the 1980s. So the disposable income, for instance, would it shock you to know that Nigeria is the second biggest consumer of champagne in the world, only behind France? So Africans, and Africa are aware. As you said, you've been to Benin, and you can see the art is an integral part of our society.
That's right.
It's got a long history, doesn't it?
It's not just a product to adorn the walls of the house.
Absolutely. That's a very good point to make. But on a commercial level, can we now incontrovertibly say that African art has achieved commercial success?
Absolutely.
Yes. And it will achieve even more because of the exposure that we're having. Like we're talking of Bonhams, we're talking of us as a collective having high-profile exhibitions, and that will eventually attract the sort of patronage we have in the West.
So what artists should we be looking at? I mean, I know you're both artists, so naturally you'd say, well, look out for me. But, I mean, beyond the two of you, what artists should we be looking out for coming out of Nigeria?
Well, the benefit of our society is that it provides for the art enthusiast a whole wide range and selection of various artists and art forms as well. So certainly you can look at our website as a starting point.
What's your website?
It's nigeriaartsociety.com.
Okay. Hassan, Aliyu and Chike Azuonye, thank you very much indeed to both of you, and I shall follow your work avidly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.